Hey friends, and welcome back to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking, where we blend calm stories with beautiful English learning. Tonight, we're walking through an empty train station where nothing moves but your thoughts. Or maybe tonight, we're walking along a narrow street that leads slowly to the sea. The kind of street where windows stay open, where footsteps echo softly, and where, at the end of it, you'll find a door you've passed before, a door you've only just begun to notice. If you enjoy learning English through slow, immersive stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, or share the podcast, only if it feels right to you. Now get cozy. Maybe light a candle or pour some tea. And let's begin. You've walked this street many times. It curves gently downhill, lined with uneven cobblestones that always catch the edge of your shoe if you don't pay attention. Small balconies hang above you, dressed in soft laundry and old flowers. Their petals fall sometimes, red, white, pink, drifting slowly to the ground, settling into the cracks between the stones. The air smells like salt and bread and time. You've never timed this walk, but it always feels the same. Slow, deliberate, as if your body knows not to rush here. You pass the same painted door with the chipped handle, the same window with the curtain that never quite closes. A cat watches you from one of them, as it always does. And you are heading toward the sea. You can't hear it yet, but you know it's waiting. You round the corner, and there it is, the cafe. You might miss it if you didn't already know where to look. The sign above the door is small, hand-painted, almost fading. The lettering curves like a whisper. No bright lights. No music spilling out. Just one window, slightly fogged, and a small black handle on a dark wooden door. You've passed it before. You've paused. You've hesitated. And then one day, you stepped inside. But not today. Not yet. Today, you pause again. You let your hand rest lightly on the frame. The cafe is quiet. It always is. That's part of why you come here. It's not silence in the way of emptiness. It's a quiet that breathes, a quiet that holds. You push the door gently, and it opens with no sound. No bell above it, no chime. Just the soft click of the latch releasing. The kind of sound that disappears into air. You step inside, and everything slows. The light is warm, amber, like it has passed through honey. The walls are textured, the tables mismatched but lovingly placed. There's a plant in the corner, a fan turning slowly above, a scent of coffee, and something sweet you've never quite named. No one speaks, not even the barista, but eyes lift to greet you. A nod, a slight smile, and then they return to their cups, their books, their moments. You've never heard anyone raise their voice here. You've never even heard a phone ring. People communicate in gestures, in the way they look up when their drink is ready, in the way the barista slides the saucer forward with one hand and places a small napkin on the side. You walk to the counter. You don't say anything. You don't need to. You point gently to the item on the menu you've chosen before. The barista nods. No writing. No confirmation. Just an understanding passed between glances. And then you wait. You choose your seat, the one near the window. Always the window. Because outside, beyond the glass, the sea begins. And when the sky is clear, you can see the way it shifts from pale blue to deep navy, broken only by gulls that move like pieces of paper in the wind. Your drink arrives, placed gently, perfectly, still no words, and somehow you feel more welcome here than almost anywhere. You wrap your hands around the cup. It's warm. The steam lifts slowly, carrying scent and softness. You close your eyes. You think, I have needed this. Not just today, but often. And in this place, you don't have to explain. You only have to be. The cafe is quiet, but it isn't empty. Soft footsteps, the hush of a spoon resting in a saucer, the careful rustle of a page turned in the far corner. A chair scrapes lightly against the wooden floor, but even that feels intentional. Like every sound here has been given permission to exist. There's no music, but somehow something is always playing, not through speakers, but through presence, through breath, motion, and pause. You sip your drink slowly. The cup is small and warm between your hands. The steam has softened now, curling slowly in the air before disappearing. You don't know what blend it is. You've never asked. But it tastes like soft evenings, like stillness, like old wooden tables that have listened to many quiet mornings. You look around the room. The barista is wiping the counter in slow, circular movements. Not in a hurry, just present. Behind them, the wall holds a shelf with stacked mugs. No two the same. Some chipped, some hand-painted. All loved. There's a couple sitting near the far wall. They aren't speaking. She's stirring her tea. He's reading something handwritten in a notebook. Occasionally, they glance at one another and smile. Not wide, not loud. Just enough to say, I see you. I know you're here. And maybe that's the magic of this place. The silence doesn't feel empty. It feels full. Full of understanding. Full of permission. Full of all the things that don't need to be spoken aloud. You take another sip. The warmth travels through your chest and settles there, like a light that doesn't need to be lit. You've been to many cafes before, some filled with voices and music and screens and clinking plates, some crowded with meetings and energy and the background noise of urgency. But this place, this one is different. Here, silence is the language, and you've come to speak it. You remember the first time you found it. You had been walking without direction. The sky was cloudy, and the sea wind was picking up. You hadn't been searching for coffee. You had only wanted to breathe somewhere softer, somewhere that didn't ask you to perform. You'd walked past the door once, then again, then stopped. And you had thought, maybe I'll just go in. And you had. And nothing dramatic had happened. Just this. A nod, a warm drink, a quiet table, and space to be. You finish your drink slowly. Set the cup down. Place your hand flat on the table, feeling the grain of the wood beneath your fingers. You think about all the people who have sat here before you, all the quiet stories they must have carried, all the thoughts left behind in the space between sips. There is no bell in this cafe, not for entering, not for leaving. Doors open and close like breaths. You stand slowly, carry your cup to the counter. The barista gives you a look of thanks. No words, just a glance, a nod, a pause. And you give the same in return. The door opens again. A breeze follows someone in, carrying the scent of seaweed and salt. You step aside, and they enter without speaking, just like you did. Just like you will again. You push the door gently behind you. It clicks closed, and you are back on the narrow street. The cafe is behind you, but it stays with you. In your chest, in your breath, in the silence that says more than words. You return again the next morning. Or maybe it's been a few days. Time here doesn't follow the usual rhythm. It stretches like dough in warm hands. You don't check your watch when you come to the cafe. You simply know when it's time. The street feels quieter today. Maybe because the sky is still heavy with clouds, low and thick above the sea. Maybe because the wind has softened and the gulls are floating higher. Maybe because something inside you is quieter too. You reach the cafe door. Place your hand on the handle. It opens easily, silently, as always. Inside it smells the same. Warm milk, ground beans, a touch of citrus, the scent of something baked recently, though you never quite see where the pastries are kept. The aroma always arrives before the object. You step to the counter. The same barista is there. They've seen you before. You don't need to speak. Your eyes meet, and that's enough. You point gently toward the handwritten card on the counter. The same drink you had last time. Or maybe a different one. You never really know what's in it. But it's warm. It's quiet. It belongs here. The barista nods. Their hands move with slow purpose, reaching for the cup, lifting the kettle, pouring with care. Everything they do feels like a dance. Not for an audience, just for presence. Behind you, someone is sitting at the window. A young man with a sketchbook. His pencil moves quickly across the page, but his face is calm. You wonder what he's drawing. You'll never ask. But you'll remember the curve of his hand. The way he paused with the tip of the pencil resting just above the paper, as if waiting for the right line to reveal itself. Another customer enters, a woman with silver hair, wearing a long scarf. She doesn't look at the menu. She simply holds up 2 fingers. The barista nods again. 2 cups. No questions. Your drink arrives. This time, there's foam on top. A swirl you didn't expect. It looks like the spiral of a shell, or a cloud drifting alone. The barista sets it in front of you with 2 hands. You bow your head slightly in gratitude. Still no words. You take the cup in both palms, lift it gently, and sip. It is exactly what it needed to be. Exactly what you didn't know you needed. You carry it to a table near the wall today. You don't want the window right now. You want the wood. The candle. The corner where you can rest your thoughts without shape. You sit, and you notice. The way gestures live here. Not just the barista's hands, but everyone's. The way the silver-haired woman tilts her head toward her friend, inviting conversation without speaking. The way the sketching man raises his cup, not to drink, but to warm his face for a moment. The way someone in the corner writes slowly in a journal, pausing between each sentence as if listening to their own breath. You finish your drink slowly. The foam has faded now, but the warmth remains. You glance toward the counter. The barista is washing something. Their hands are half submerged in soapy water, moving like a rhythm they've repeated 1,000 times. You think about all the times someone has spoken to you with their eyes, with their hands, with the gentle placement of an object. You think about how many things you've said without speaking, how many things you've heard without sound, how much of this language is felt, not formed. You stand again. Bring your cup back. Another glance, another shared nod. This place has changed the way you see communication. You walk out slowly. The sky has begun to open now, clouds peeling back, revealing something soft and blue. You've learned to speak more with less, and that feels like a kind of fluency. You come back again, just like before. The street has changed, but only slightly. The breeze has picked up. The sea smells stronger, and the petals on the sidewalk are new. They always are. Time here moves gently, but it does move. You reach the cafe door, already knowing it will open without resistance. And it does. Inside, the light is a little different. Later in the day, maybe. The golden tones have softened into something more like candlelight, even though there are no candles yet. Just the sun bending around corners. Your eyes scan the room, and there it is. Your seat. The window seat. It's not reserved, but somehow it always waits for you. You walk to it without glancing around, without checking the counter first. You know your drink will come in time. Right now, all you want is this view, this feeling, this moment. The chair is wooden and slightly curved. The cushion is old, slightly faded, but it knows you. Your hand rests on the back of the chair as you slide into it slowly. Outside the window, the sea is moving. Not crashing, just rolling. long waves reaching toward the shore like breath returning to the body. You watch a gull glide low across the surface of the water, then disappear behind a distant rooftop. You've seen that gull before, or maybe one just like it. Either way, the rhythm is the same. You place your hands on the table. Let them rest. You don't bring a book. Not today. No phone, no notebook. You just look. You listen. You are here. The window is streaked a little from salt air. At the edges, the glass is fogged slightly. It blurs the world in a way that feels intentional. You see less, but you feel more. The drink arrives while you're gazing out. You don't look up. You don't need to. You hear the soft click of ceramic on wood. You feel the gentle shift in the table as the cup is placed. You know it's the same barista, or one who understands the same language of silence. You glance down. Foam again. This time a leaf shape, or maybe a feather. You wrap your hands around the cup. Lift it. Sip. The window glows a little brighter now. A break in the clouds. A ray of sun slipping past, hitting the water, lighting up one patch like a secret. You whisper almost soundlessly, "This has become mine. This seat, this view, this silence. You have returned enough times now that the chair knows your weight. The grain of the table knows your fingers. The glass knows your breath. And you've learned something in this seat, though no one has taught it to you. You've learned how to sit without needing to do. You've learned how to notice. You've learned how silence can carry a voice you didn't know you had. You watch a boy walk past the cafe outside. He's holding a kite. It's folded, not flying. But the way he looks up at the sky, you know he believes it will be airborne soon. You smile, and you realize, I have smiled here often. Not loudly, not dramatically, but fully, quietly. Your cup is half empty now. You place it back on the saucer and lean back. You don't want to leave. You don't have to. This seat has held your stillness more than once. And it will again. Because this window doesn't just show you the sea. It shows you yourself. When you are listening. When you are soft. When you are simply being. The window beside you has begun to fog slightly. Not from weather, but from breath. From warmth. From time. It happens often here. The glass softens your view, blurs the outlines of buildings, of waves, of people passing by. But it also blurs memory and imagination, and that's when the conversations begin. Not spoken, not heard, just felt. You've never spoken to anyone in this cafe. Not with words. But you've had conversations. Deep, quiet ones, with people whose names you'll never know, like the older man who always sits at the second table by the door. He reads the same newspaper each time, folds it in the same way, and sips his drink as if he's measuring time with each swallow. You've wondered, has he lost someone? Has he loved this place longer than you've known it? You've wanted to say something, just once. Maybe. I see you here often, but you never have. And somehow, that silence has become the conversation. Then there's the woman with the long coat and the sketchbook. You've seen her draw the same corner of the cafe 3 times now. Her pencil never rushes. Her eyes never ask permission. Once you made eye contact, just briefly. You nodded. She didn't nod back, but you felt something pass between you anyway. A softness? A respect? You've never asked what she's drawing. But you think you know. She's drawing silence. She's drawing the space between cups and hands, between people and the stories they carry, between the pause before a sip and the breath that follows. And there was the time a child sat at the table beside you. They were writing in a notebook, big letters, a crayon gripped tight in one hand. You could hear the scratch of the page even through the hush of the cafe. No adult sat nearby. Just the child, a cup of warm milk, and the fierce quiet of someone building their own world. You never looked too long, but you thought, this is how writers begin. Maybe you've imagined some of these things. Maybe you've filled the gaps because silence invites story. And isn't that what language is? Not just grammar, not just words, but the space between things. The conversation that doesn't need to be said aloud to be real. You think of all the things you could have said. Is this seat taken? What are you reading? That latte looks lovely. All the modal verbs of imagined speech. Could I ask what you're drawing? Should we share this moment in words? But you didn't speak, and neither did they. And still, you remember, their faces, their hands, their silence, and the way those quiet, unsaid conversations shaped your own thinking, taught you something new about connection, taught you that understanding doesn't always need sound, taught you that you have learned how to listen. You sip the last of your drink. It's gone cold, but you don't mind. It's still part of the moment. You stand, stretch slowly, and gather your things. You pass the tables quietly. The man with the paper glances up. The artist keeps sketching. The child is gone now, but the notebook still sits on the chair, forgotten or left on purpose. You walk toward the door. The barista nods again. No words, just a pause, just a glance. And in that moment, you have said more than you could with any sentence. You open the door, step back into the sea air, and think. Some of the best conversations I've ever had have happened in complete silence. Later that day, or maybe another day entirely, you sit in a different quiet place, still holding the feeling of the cafe in your body. It's evening now. You're near a window again, but this one looks out at rooftops, not water. The sky is turning the color of tea left too long in the cup. Rich, deep, warm. And in this pause, this hush between hours, you begin to notice what has stayed with you. From the cafe, from the silence, from the language that didn't need to be spoken, certain words return. They always do. Like cup and steam and glance, like corner table, like familiar seat. These are not just objects. They are moments. You think about how often you've been back to that cafe. Not counted it, not marked it, but felt it. You've sat there in the window seat. You've watched the sea shift colors. You've held a warm mug between both hands. You've wondered about strangers who became quiet constants. You've noticed the sound of your own breath, and in thinking about those experiences, you realize you've lived them fully. You have become part of the rhythm. You've returned again and again, not because you needed caffeine, but because you needed something softer. A place where the language wasn't printed on signs or spoken aloud, but carried between gestures and presence. And those moments, they've stayed with you? You whisper softly to yourself, I've never spoken in that cafe, but I've said so much. You've learned how present perfect works without studying it, just by feeling it. You have been seen by people who never asked your name. You have shared space with a silence that felt more honest than conversation. You have wondered who the others were, and let that wondering be enough. You've come back, again and again, each time carrying less noise, more awareness. And the silence, it's never been empty. It has held your attention. It has carried your emotions. It has taught you how to rest in stillness. You think now of the barista who has never asked your name, never written it on a cup, never said a word, but who has poured each drink as if it mattered. You remember the sketchbook pages half filled, the child's crayon, resting where a story had once been forming. You think, I've watched silence turn into memory. And you say another thing softly, gently. I've learned so much, without saying anything at all. You smile, because that too is a kind of fluency, not of vocabulary or rules, but of feeling, of living inside the language of presence, and of finally understanding that sometimes what has stayed is the thing that never needed to speak. You're sitting with your notebook now, the same one you always carry. Its pages are soft at the edges from being opened and closed too many times. There's a pen resting in the spine. You haven't used it yet. But you might. The window is cracked open beside you. The air is cool and slow. And for the first time in a long while, you begin to imagine the conversations that might have happened. If the cafe had been filled with voices, if silence hadn't been the rule, if someone had spoken first, you wonder, what would it have sounded like? Maybe the barista would have asked, "What can I get you today?" And you might have answered, "Something warm, something soft." Maybe the man with the newspaper would have said, "I come here for the quiet." And you could have said, "Me too." You imagine modal verbs filling the room, gentle possibilities. "Would you mind if I sit here? Could I ask what you're reading? Should we talk or just stay quiet?" You begin to write them down one by one. Not as sentences, not as exercises, but as wishes. I would have asked her what she was sketching. He could have told me the name of his dog if he had one. They might have shared the reason they always sit in the same chair. These verbs, might, would, could, should, they live in the realm of softness. They live in the space between what happened and what almost did. And you realize something. You've been carrying these quiet possibilities with you every time you visited the cafe. Not regrets, not missed chances, just language not spoken, but lived. You write, "I might have spoken. I could have smiled longer. I should have written about this sooner." Then you pause. You breathe, you look at what you've written, and you let the words sit there, unfinished. Like every good conversation that lingers long after it ends, you return to the present now, to the quiet of the window, to the room you're in, to the story still unfolding inside you. You whisper, "I've been learning English for a long time, but this is the first time it's felt like home, not because you know every word, but because you've let the language wrap around you, like silence, like steam, like a chair waiting in the corner of a room you've chosen again and again." So you write one more sentence, one final phrase to keep for later. "I might not say it aloud, but I've found my voice." The cafe is quieter than ever, not because there are fewer people, but because something inside you has changed. You hear the silence differently now, not as absence, but as fullness. You return once more, just once more. The sky is overcast. The air smells of salt and rain. You step inside, and the warmth meets you like a familiar embrace. The lights are low, and the wooden floor creaks softly underfoot. Someone is already seated in your usual window chair. But you don't mind. You choose a different one, farther back. Quieter. You don't need the same view to feel the same peace. You nod to the barista. They nod back. The drink arrives minutes later. This time, no foam. Just warmth. Stillness. A small saucer beneath it and a tiny silver spoon beside. You wrap your hands around the cup, and you wait. You're not waiting for anything. You're simply in the waiting. The pages of your notebook are closed. Your pen rests across the cover. Your eyes are open, but you're not watching anything. You're remembering. You're whispering soft words to yourself, not out loud, but deep within the rhythm of your thoughts. Words like steam, window, cup, gesture, pause, see, table, gaze, quiet, return. And then, I have come back. I have listened. I have learned in silence. You've visited this cafe more times than you can count, and you've spoken fewer words here than anywhere else. Yet somehow, this place has taught you more about language than any classroom, any textbook, any test. You sip slowly. Outside, the clouds shift. Someone near the door gathers their coat. Another person wipes the rim of their mug with a napkin, then folds it into fourths, carefully, before placing it aside. And then you know it's time to go. You rise. You carry your cup to the counter. You leave it there with one last nod, one last look of quiet thanks. And you walk to the door. It opens without sound and closes just the same. You step onto the street. The sea is near, though you don't look. You already carry it. You walk without urgency. Your feet know the rhythm. You whisper softly just once. The cafe where nobody speaks has taught me to say so much. And then you let the rest go. Let the air hold it. Let the silence remember it. Let the story end where it needs to. If you enjoyed this story, I'd love if you followed or shared it with someone else who's learning English. It helps this gentle little podcast reach more people. Until next time, may your stillness be soft. May your language be quiet. And may you always have a place to return to, where silence means everything.